In this video, we are going to talk about the sum and difference identities. So, looking at these identities, first we'll start with the sum identities. And there are three that we'll talk about: sine of x plus y, one for cosine of x plus y, and one for tan of x plus y. So you can see why they call them the sum identities, because over on the left-hand side of each of these, there's the sum of two numbers. And so these identities just tell you how to rewrite the trigonometric function of a sum in terms of the trigonometric functions of each individual part here. All right, so sine of x plus the quantity x plus y would be equal to sine of x cosine of y plus cosine of x sine of y. So what this will allow you to do is sort of to simplify a sum that's inside a trig function. And you might say, well, I don't know if that looks like simplifying, because the expressions on the right-hand side are more complicated. But if you notice, the insides of the trig functions over on the right are less complicated. So that's really what you're doing. You're sort of simplifying the inside parts of the trig functions. Okay. All right, and very similar to the sum identities, there's another group for the difference identities. One for sine, one for cosine, one for tangent. Right, difference means subtraction, and so you can see here that we have subtraction on the insides of the trigonometric functions on the left side of these identities. And then over on the right-hand side, you can see that the inside parts, the arguments of the trig functions, are simpler. So it allows you to get rid of the difference on the inside. You will pay a price, you'll get a longer expression, but sometimes, that's what you need. And you can use these to simplify the other way, the overall expression. Okay. Related to these difference identities are the cofunction identities. And here are the cofunction identities for all of the six trig functions. And you can see the cofunction on the inside of these cofunction identities, you have pi over 2 minus x. So this kind of tells you the relationship. We have sine, and then its cofunction is cosine. Tangent, its cofunction is cotangent. Secant, its cofunction is cosecant, and then vice versa as well. So this tells the relationship between those, and that's where the names come from for cosine, cotangent, cosecant. If you look, these cofunction identities are just really are basically where you would replace pi over our x here by pi over 2. Okay, and that will give you these cofunction identities. So really, these are special cases of the difference identities. All right, and so that's just a brief overview of the cofunction identities, or the sum and difference identities and the cofunction identities. In the next video, we will show you how to start using these identities.